All right, so a rate is a ratio that compares quantities of measure with different units. So that's a key word here. It has different units. Okay, so you're comparing two different things. So a unit rate is a rate when it's of 1 unit of a given quantity. When a rate is written as a fraction, that means that the denominator is 1 unit. So when you are driving a car or traveling, you have 120 miles and on 4 gallons. Okay, so we're comparing miles to gallons. So when you read that, you say it's a rate of 120 miles per 4 gallons. So this little line, our fraction bar, when you read it, you say per. All right, so that's just a rate. So this right here is a rate. Now, if I want to know how many miles I travel with just 1 gallon of gasoline, that is a unit rate, because now 1 gallon is at the bottom. That's just 1 unit. I want to know how many miles I travel in just 1 gallon. So a unit rate will always have a denominator of 1. So if you need to write that down, say that a unit rate will always have a denominator of 1. So a unit rate, in this example, we travel 30 miles in 1 gallon, or per 1 gallon. So now how do we find a unit rate when we're only given the rate? So that's the next example. So the lobster sheds its shell 20 times over a period of 5 years. So we're comparing two different things. How many times it sheds its shell compared to how many years. Okay? So this is a rate. So when we write it, we need to write it as a rate. So 20 over 5. So don't forget labels. Labels are key when you're dealing with rate. That's how we know that we're comparing two quantities. So 20, and this is going to be molts, over 5 years, or per 5 years. So now we need the denominator to be 1 year. Because we always defined our unit rate, we have to have a 1 at the bottom. We have to have a 1 in the denominator. So what we do to the top, we always do to the bottom. So all we're doing here would be reducing it down to find what it is in 1 year, or how many molts in 1 year. So to get from 5 to 1, all we did was divide by 5. 5 years divided by 5 gives us 1 year. 5 divided by 5 is 1. But what we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So 20 divided by 5 gives us 4. And don't forget your labels. So that's 4 molts. Now, I'm not just going to say my answer is 4 molts, because that doesn't tell me anything about my rate. Even though 4 over 1 is 4, when you are dealing with rates, you have to keep it over 1. So your unit rate is 4 mults over 1 year. You can write this in words and say 4 mults per year. Or you could even say 4 mults per 1 year. That would be fine too. But you have to include per year in there, because that is how we know that we're comparing mults versus years. All right, so now we're going to try to find the unit rate for 219 heartbeats in 3 minutes. Now, since it says unit rate, we know that eventually our rate is going to need to be over 1. Our unit rate has to have a denominator of 1. So always remember, when you see unit, it's 1. So first we need to write our rate. So 119 heartbeats. Sorry, my handwriting on this is very hard to read. And then in 3 minutes. So, this is not a unit rate. This is just a rate. We need to find our unit rate. So, we need our new fraction to be over 1 minute. We always take whatever's already at the bottom of our fraction and we need to turn it into a 1. So since it's minutes, it's going to be per 1 minute. So now, to get from 3 to 1, we had to divide by 3. So 3 minutes divided by 3 gives us our 1 minute, because any number divided by itself always gives us 1. So now we need to find 219 divided by 3. So, since we don't have a calculator, we're going to have to do long division. So 119 divided by 3. 3 goes into 21 7 times. 7 times 3 is 21. Subtract the 2 and we get 0. Now we have to bring down our 9. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 times 3 gives us 9. So our answer, since we have a 0 remainder, we don't have to carry on with our decimals, our answer is 73. So 73 heartbeats. And I know that I had to divide that by 3 because what we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom, and vice versa. So 73 heartbeats per 1 minute, because you have to remember this fraction bar, when you read it, it means per. So 73 heartbeats per 1 minute. So you can see over here our answer is B. Alright, so I want you to go down to the next one, and I want you to give this one a try. So, the Earth rotates 1.25 degrees in 5 minutes. How many degrees does it rotate in 1 minute? So, we need to write this as a rate. So, as a rate, we have 1.25 degrees in 5 minutes. When you have a rate, you are allowed to have a decimal at the top of the fraction. I know that seems crazy and it seems like nothing you've really ever seen before, but that's allowed. Only when you're dealing with rates, you're allowed to have a decimal inside a fraction. Now we need to know, it's asking us how many degrees does it rotate in 1 minute. So to get from 5 minutes to 1 minute, we have to divide by 5. So whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do the top. And 5 divided by 5 gives us 1. So now we have to divide by 5 at the top. This seems crazy too, because when we divide, inside of our fraction, or inside of our long division, is the 1.25, and we're dividing it by the larger number. It seems crazy, like I said, but that's okay. So 5 does not go into 1, so that's going to be a 0. Does 5 go into 12? So how many times? Which would be 2. 5 goes into 2, or 5 goes into 12 2 times, and 5 times 2 is 10. So subtract, and you get 2. Now you have to bring down your 5, and that's 25 now. 5 goes into 25 5 times. And 5 times 5 is 25, which when you subtract the 2, you get 0. So we know now that it's 0.25, where you could have 0.25 degrees every 1 minute. So here it has that text box. That's because this is our curriculum online. I just screenshot it. So you don't actually have to write it in that text box if you don't want to. You can just have your answer boxed out. It seems weird that you have to write it in that text box. I know a bunch of parents asked me about it earlier. It's just because I screenshot it, so that way you guys have the notes. So you don't actually have to try and squeeze your handwriting in there. Alright, so now we're going to talk about unit price. Now this is a unit rate, okay? So since it's a unit rate, that means that our denominator is going to be 1. The only difference is you're comparing prices, okay, to items. So one item, and what is that price for that one item? So your item will always be in your denominator, and your price is always going to be in your numerator. So your one item, that's going to be your denominator. And I'm just going to shorten that. And your price is always going to be in your numerator. Your denominator is your bottom, and your denominator is the top of the fraction. Alright, so in this example, it had $25 for 4 tickets. And this is something that happens in everyday life. So you might have go to the movies, and a sale might be happening where it's $25 for 4 tickets, or a concert, whatever it may be. But you might want to know, well, how much is it for one? That way you know how much each of you have to pay. Each person would have to pay, okay? So this is something that happens in everyday life, and this is why it's really important that you understand unit price. So similar to unit rates, they found what it was for 1 ticket by dividing the bottom by 4, because 4 divided by 4 gives us 1, and we need our bottom number to be 1. Now you cannot subtract. I know 4 minus 4 seems like that would get you an answer that could be at the bottom, but that gives you 0, okay? And we need it to be 1. You cannot subtract it by 3. you cannot use subtraction. When you are reducing, you always have to use multiplication or division. And so when you reduce it, you're going to have to divide. Okay, so always remember you have to divide. And since the numerator has to be 1, we're going to divide by what our denominator is in our rate. So 4 divided by 4 gives us 1. Whatever we do to the top or to the bottom, we have to do the top. So we had to divide by 4 at the top, and that's why we got this decimal, because 25 divided by 4 does not go in evenly. So it's $6.25 per ticket. So this is just like what we just did, only this is for the price of items. So your class is tie-dyeing t-shirts for a fundraiser. You are in charge of buying the plain t-shirts. Which package is the best buy? And which package is the worst buy? Since there are 4 different options for t-shirts, we're going to have to do this 4 times to see what the price is for each one. So let's do 15 for $47.25. So like I said, item always has to go on bottom because we want to know how much it is for one shirt. So this one kind of tried to trick you by putting the 15 at the top. We actually need that at the bottom when you write your fraction. So we have, that's my money, $47.25 for 15 shirts. So we know that we needed to have a 1 on the bottom. So 15 divided by 1, or divided by 15, gives us 1. So whatever we do at the top, we have to do to the bottom as well. And so if you could pause the video, I would like for you to try to work out and find what that equals. So I want you to do long division here to see how many times 15 goes into $47.25. Alright, so after working out the math up here, I found that 3.15 is the answer to 47.25 divided by 15. So I know that it's going to cost $3.15 per shirt. So this is per shirt for one shirt. Alright. Alright. So the next one is 10 shirts for $29.90. So use a different color. Alright. So we know that the shirts have to be on bottom. So I have 10 shirts. And it would cost me $29.90. So now we need to see how much it'll be for one shirt. So, since I have to have a 1 at the bottom, I have to have one shirt at the bottom. I know that I have to divide by 10. Whatever I divide by 10, I have to divide by 10 on the top as well. What's nice about this one, it's going to go in there pretty evenly. Since you have a 0, you can just cross out your zeros. And then that'll give you $2.99. Now let's just double check. So pause it. I want you to do the division and let's see if we get the same answer. Alright, so after doing the division, I did find that it does cost $2.99 per shirt. So if you have any questions about what we just did, I want you to write the question off to the side. Okay, that way you can ask me your question later. I don't want anyone to be confused, so write your question to the side, and that way we can talk about it later. So far, the one in green is the better buy. Now that's just so far, so now we got to continue and let's see if that stays the best buy. So let's see. So now we have to do 12 shirts for $39. So, all right. So 12 shirts has to be on the bottom. For $39, that's going to be on the top. We know we're going to have to divide by 12 because our bottom denominator needs to be one shirt. So if we divide by 12 on bottom, we also have to divide by 12 on top. So let's do the long division. So 39.00 divided by 12. So how many times does 12 go into 39? And that's going to be 3. So 12 times 3 is 36. Subtract the 2, you get 3. Bring down your 0. Now since this is a decimal, we also have to have a decimal up top. So how many times does 12 go into 30? That's going to be 2. 2 times 12 gives us 24. Subtract the 2, we get 6. Bring that down. How many times does 12 go into 60? And that's going to be 5. So 5 times 12 is 60. It's a 0. So we know that it's $3.25 per shirt. So $3.25 per one shirt. So that's one answer. And finally, we just have to do one more, guys. So now 8 shirts. Oops, I didn't pick another color. So 8 shirts. We know that items have to be on the bottom. And we have $27.20 at the top. We're going to have to divide by 8 for both top and bottom, because 8 divided by 8 gives us 1, and we need 1 on the bottom to find our unit price. So now we have to do 27.20 divided by 8. 8 goes into 27 3 times. 3 times 27 is going to be 24. Or 3 times 8 is 24, sorry. Subtract the 2, we get 3. Bring down the 2. And make sure that you add that decimal at the top. It's going to go into that 4 times. That's going to be 32. So when you subtract it, you get 0. Bring down the 0. 8 goes into 0 times. Subtract those, you get 0. So our answer is $3.40. Alright, so now we need to see which was the best buy and which was the worst buy. So the best buy would be the cheapest shirt. So the cheapest it is to buy just one shirt, because if you can spend less money, then you can buy more shirts for the fundraiser. So our cheapest shirt was $2.99. So this one was our cheapest. So that one was our 10 shirts for $29. So 10 shirts for $29 was our best buy. So now our worst buy would be the most expensive. because the more money you buy on shirts, the less amount of shirts you're going to be able to buy. So the most expensive one was our $3.40 for one shirt. So the 8 for $27. So even though it looks like you're only getting more shirts for only $2 more, it's actually the 10 shirts for $29.90 is actually the better buy. It's the better deal. So you would want to do that for your fundraiser so you can get more shirts, sell more shirts, and raise more money. So for the fundraiser, you also are going to have to buy the dye for the tie-dyeing. And so now we have to see which buy is better for the dye. So we have 2 fluid ounces, for, oops, I already made a mistake. So the fluid ounces, even though it's stated first, that is our item that we are buying. Okay, so that needs to be at the bottom of our fraction. So 2 fluid ounces for our price, which is $3.96. If you would like to use a calculator for this portion, I'll allow it. So we need to divide $3.96 divided by 2 fluid ounces. And that tells us how many ounces or how many dollars it would cost for just 1 fluid ounce. So we knew we had to divide by 2 on top and on bottom. You can do long division here. So I'm going to do long division. So $3.96 divided by 2 goes into that one time. It's going to be 1. Bring down the 9. It's 9. It's going to be 18. 1. Bring down the 6. It's going to be 8. It's going to be 16. So 0. Okay, so it's going to cost $1.98. So that's one option. Now, option 2, we have 4 fluid ounces for $8.36. We're going to have to divide by 4 for top and bottom. So 8.36 divided by 4. Don't forget you need that decimal there. So 0 times 4 is 0, so it's still going to be 3. Bring down my 6. It's be 9. Oops, which equals 36. Alright, so this one is $2.09 for 1 fluid ounce. Alright, so our next example, or our next one, is $14.24 for 8 ounces. I need it to be 1, so I need to divide by 8 on top and bottom. So 14.24 divided by 8. 8 goes into 14. How many times? It's 1. Subtract them. Bring down the 2. is going to be 7, which is 56. Bring down the 4. 6 goes into 6, or 8 goes into 64 8 times. As soon as you get that remainder of 0, you can stop. So this is $1.78. Lastly, we have to do one more. I'm just going to outline all my answers and box them out so that way I can see where my answers are, since there's a lot of work shown on this page. Alright, so the last one is $28.96 for 16 fluid ounces. I need it to be 1 fluid ounce. So I need to divide by 16 on top and on bottom. So 28.96 divided by 16 one time. So that's 2 and 1. Bring down the 9. Don't forget to add your decimal point. 16 goes into 129 8 times. It's going to give me 128. Subtract the 2, that gives me 1. Bring down the 6. Now I'm at 16. Goes into it 1 time. Awesome. So my answer is $1.81. So now I just have to determine which one's the better buy, which one's the cheapest. So the best buy would be my cheapest one. It's looking like that is my $1.78 for 1 ounce. So that one was my the 8 ounces for $14.24. Oops. So that would be my 8 fluid ounces. So my answer is C. Alright, so a driver fills his tank with 15 gallons of gas for $45.60. The next time he stops, he fills his gas for he fills up for 12 gallons for $39. Find the price of gas for each station and circle the one that's a better deal. So now I'm going to have you guys pause this video and I want you guys to do what we just did. So we have our 2 rates. Remember that our item always has to be at the bottom, our dollars always have to be at the top. So our rate is going to be $45.60. It's going to be at the top, and that's for 15 gallons. And then our second rate is $39 for 12 gallons. So pause the video. I want you guys to give this a shot and then check your answer with mine. you do the top, you have to do the bottom. I'm trying to find for 1 gallon. Don't forget that decimal point. Alright, so for the first station they stopped off at, I got $3.04 for 1 gallon of gas. At the second station they stopped off at, I got $3.25 for 1 gallon of gas. So the better deal is going to be your $3.04 because that's cheaper and you're trying to save money.